Welcome, everyone. We will start our 6 p.m. work session tonight. We're going to excuse a few of our colleagues tonight, but we still have a quorum, which is the 3 council members. So we will proceed with our work session agenda and the general plan discussion. So, Mr. Storga, I'm going to turn time over to you to lead us through the next phase of our general plan.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Appreciate the time that we have today to move on to the next item, which is the moderate income housing element. And I am waiting for 2 seconds for the signal to kick in here. My presentation is going to follow the same format that we have had in the past. I'm just going to show you exactly what you have in front of in the packet. So it's not an added presentation. And for both you, Mayor Pro Tem, and Council Member Higginson, this is not a deviation from the already adopted moderate income housing report that we took care of about January of 2023, and that we're simply adding it to the new version of the general plan. And that's all I'd like to say that indicates from the staff report, and other than updating Council Member Murray in that through different changes throughout state code that we've had probably for the last, probably more than 5 years. It was SB 34, I believe. Yeah, that's the one from a few years ago that gave us a menu item of 26 different strategies that us municipalities had to pick. And of the 26 strategies as dictated by state code, we elected to have strategy 1, 2, and 3 as indicated on page 3 of the packet. And that's why I was implying to the other council members that we're not deviating from those strategies that we were mandated to pick from. And we could expand as you see fit regarding why we selected these strategies. Before I move on, time-wise, I'd just like to check in with Mr. Gary Hill. We have 30 minutes, is that correct? Okay, just double checking our time. Thank you. So with that said, I'm gonna just move forward and let's go over the moderate income housing plan, or the element that we have, which is much more simple than the format that we had before. So it starts with a quick introduction of Bountiful City. Obviously, we had a short packet, so I don't want to read it word for word, as I'm simply understanding that as you do every 2 weeks, you read every word of the packet. I can read if necessary, but it would start off with a quick introduction regarding the item. Then and this, by the way, was drafted by the consultant and edited by us staff members. With that said, the consultant then moves on and summarizes state code, section 403 of LUDMA, section 109A, which is 100% of where the land use provisions are set up. And then we move on exactly the 3 strategies, where the first one deals with accessory dwelling units. Second one talks about zoning or rezoning for higher densities in strategic specific areas. And the third one is very much like the second one, still dealing with strategic areas throughout the city, but it's specifically addressing amending the land use code, the regulations. Do we have any questions regarding these 3 strategies as we move forward?
No? Okay. Do you, Councilman Murray, I just want to, because you weren't on the council yet when we adopted the moderate income housing plan, do you need any background on why those 3 were selected by the council from the list of 24?
No, because that would require us to go through 24.
Perfect. Then we're great. Let's move on.
Moving on. The next item, the consultant provides some context regarding moderate income housing, and we can address this information taken from the ACS, the American Community Survey, is where they got this information from. And then we move on to the strategies as dictated by state code. And Amber is here, and Amber has done a great job with the implementation strategies that was dictated by the state code, where we weren't just simply asked to adopt the three menu items, housing, moderate income housing items, but they went a step further in that we report every year to the Department of Workforce Services how we are doing on these three adopted strategies. So the implementation had to be accepted by them, which it has, and we have been fulfilling these requirements. We have another reporting period, which deadline is coming up of August 1st. And we're also receiving some additional training in staff to see how the last year's legislature may have affected. It seems like every year they have some sort of changes. In some years, they have more than others. So the first strategy regarding that implementation talks about how we in the city provide education regarding accessory dwelling units. We've done a good job with our updated website, as well as the 2 articles that get drafted on the city newsletter that we place, and we fulfill both of these requirements. Amber, feel free to interrupt me if I leave everything out. And also the state required, or the Department of Workforce Services required, they interpreted this item to be specific as far as timing on when we do these items. And that's why we have the timing that is part of the comprehensive general plan. I'll move on to the second strategy, zone or rezone for higher densities or moderate income. Oh,
Just a quick question on one. How do we regulate or know on that line, rent to family members?
which line? I'm sorry.
On strategy 1, implementation, ADUs could only be rented to family members.
I think
No,
that was in effect, and now we've
No, we've removed
broadened
that.
it.
Okay.
right. So we were adding context to the changes that we had done. And the reason why we phrased it like this is that we wanted to give the city credit for all the good work that we did before the state told us that we had to do it. Council was somewhat progressive in aligning this, the policies of the time, and that's when the big shift came to be. So great question, or great comment in that. So,
That is a new change, is that when we first started adopting moderate income housing reports, it was simpler to do the report. And then the legislature started to say, we want you cities in your report back to us to tell us what you've selected and then like what action items you're doing to select it. There was some pushback from legislators that they felt like cities were just looking at the list, circling some items and turning the form back in. And so this requirement to create a narrative, a story about how we're accomplishing each of the things that we've selected in our moderate income housing report, or why Francisco and staff has had to kind of spell out this narrative that now has to go in.
that's exactly it. The second strategy is about rezoning for higher density or moderate income residential development in commercials or mixed-use zones near major transit investment corridors, commercial centers, or employment centers. So what we did here, I'm gonna jump on, no, I think we could discuss that we've been hanging our hat on the overall land use map, area map that we've been discussing, our place types. And furthermore, we will be compliant with this as indicated, the future land use map in conjunction with the comprehensive general plan update currently taking place will implement this strategy. So moving on to the timing, this is why we're having this future land use map. Consultant calls it the place types. It's the exact same thing. Actually, I think we need to update the timing section. I didn't realize that we needed to probably change this to mid-2024. So,
One in the line at the beginning, by the end of 2023, that's the next paragraph up that needs an update too.
so we're gonna have to update these based on the timing that we have, and I apologize, I didn't catch these based on our timing of the general plan. So we'll change the timing, update the city's future land use map. I think it might be better off saying in 2024.
Mr. Astorga, you can't be responsible for the council's long-windedness in agreeing on what single-family homes look like.
I'm trying to do the best I can with that, but I appreciate it. I appreciate the comment. And then once the future land use comprehensive general plan update is adopted, establish an annual schedule to review the zoning map for compliance with the general plan strategies. I think this last sentence is a runoff sentence from the copy and paste mode, so we'll take care of that as well. And then the next item, if I could move on to the next item.
Please.
Amend land use regulations to allow for higher density or new moderate income residential development in commercial or mixed-use zones near major transit investment corridors. The implementation that we wrote was here to promote the establishment of moderate income housing within Main Street, Plat A, Renaissance. We did right here the hospital district, and I could expand on that as to why, and other applicable districts by creating a development inventory, analyze existing uses, current densities, development parameters, etc. In these districts, to identify trends to further enhance codes and policies to create moderate income housing opportunities. And then these districts may include these specific areas. What we were simply trying to say here, as implied in the timing, is that once we have an adopted general plan, we would take each neighborhood, if you will, one by one, and we would analyze it to see how we could be in compliance, not necessarily in compliance, but be consistent with the policies of the general plan. So it's more of a proactive approach in now taking, at the time being in the future, an adopted general plan and a zoning code that may not match one another. So instead of doing it all at once, we don't want to go into the dreaded moratorium word. We would study one neighborhood at a time. And the list of neighborhoods that we included, this is just a way that we simply wanted to identify some of these areas. Eventually, we would want to do the entire city, but this was just our more known or more defined neighborhoods that are more prevalent throughout the city for identification purposes. So we at this time, we may feel that the hospital district may be taken out of, in that we don't have that many opportunities for residential development there, specifically in the fact that we don't foresee a great future in having a dedicated hospital zone. And we've had this discussion at length with the steering committee, in that when it was created in 1978, it worked out and many doctors wanted to be adjacent to the hospital for their uses. The time has changed in the advances in technology in the medical field, and doctors now want to be closer to the freeway and not necessarily closer to the hospital. And we could expand on that, but at the same time, we don't know if the hospital district needs to be named in the implementation section of this code, and we would love to get your opinion on that. So looking at the timing, each calendar year, we want to complete a district inventory. And depending on when we adopt the general plan, we did say that it's starting in 2025. We want to evaluate these findings, challenges, and opportunities found in each district to be able to find opportunities to comply with these opportunities for higher densities and moderate income residential development in some of these areas. I'll be more than happy to expand on this if necessary.
Colleagues, any feedback?
Just this.
Meaning the whole plan, or?
No, I think that it would be well if we removed the hospital district from the list of potential implementation sites for now.
We believe it makes sense in that in doing an aerial inventory, there isn't any housing in what we now have as a hospital zone. There isn't any housing. So it would be tough to find opportunities for housing in that district. And we'll be more than happy to do the thumbs down, gladiator style. We would like some sort of consensus.
Oh, yeah, that's just one vote.
That's just one opinion.
I'll chime in that I feel like we should remove the hospital district as well. I feel like in one of our earlier work sessions jointly with the Planning Commission, we'd had a discussion and in conversations with the hospital, with Lakeview, they had specifically asked for ways in which we could help with the protections of that area, and the fact that their vacancy of buildings around them was actually not as low as we had had heard, that it's actually much higher, and keeping what is the largest employer in our city in that vibrant zone and surrounded by compatible uses is important. So I would support removing it from where we're looking to establish housing density versus enhanced hospital support uses.
Yeah, we can, oh, I'm sorry.
I'll be the third to say that. Just, I know the residents would also like to see it removed.
We support what you're doing, and it was more of an attempt to have more of a defined neighborhood in this list of neighborhoods, so no issue in removing it. And by the way, we have 3 here, 3 of 5, so that's majority anyways. So
Would it make more sense to just, especially in other parts of the plan, you're naming, I think, what did our consultant call them, housing types or housing typography? I understand the desire to name specific areas of the city, like Main Street or Renaissance, but maybe it does make some sense to say that areas that are moving from being predominantly one type to something that would have more density, those would be kind of first in the review list.
right, and also, to not give you any possible surprises, we may, at the end of this process, as we look at all the other components at one, we may even change these neighborhoods, in that at one point we had other neighborhood areas that we came up with, and maybe that's a better opportunity. It all depends on the implementation of how and of how much area we want to examine, analyze, and then provide recommendations for the future, in that we don't want to say Bountiful North End. That might be too overwhelming for staff, given our resources, to do in 1 year. And that's why we wanted to break it up in smaller bite-sized pieces. So I'm just giving you a quick preview that on the final, we may change slightly how we identify these neighborhoods, but it won't have any, it won't have this specific hospital zone, and we hear you in that it's not the best area for housing. So, given that's it. So we have 7 minutes for any additional comments or questions.
Any additional comments or questions on this section of the general plan?
No.
No?
Can't think of any.
Okay, then you get style and bonus points for finishing early.
Style and bonus.
Style and bonus points.
Thank you.
And we'll then forward those 7 minutes over to the next item on our discussion. We have Tiff Miller here from South Davis Recreation District to do report and update to the council. And Tiff, you were getting the mighty 3 quorum today for your update with some of our colleagues online. We'll give you just a minute to get your presentation up online.
In my peripheral vision, I just saw your letter again. I just think that's awesome. It made me chuckle.
I mean, I am pretty tall. So.
All right. Looks like you're online and all set up. So we'll turn the time over to you to give us an update, and then Would you rather we save any questions for the end, or do you want us to
You can ask
interject
whenever,
as you go?
yeah, just let me
Okay.
know.
We will chime in then if anyone has questions as you go along.
All right, well, thanks for having me. What I wanted to do today is just go over some of the things that we've been working on with the South Davis Recreation District. I know Kate's probably been filling you in pretty well with what's been going on over the last year to last couple months especially. But just wanted to touch base on what we've been doing, some of the changes that we've had, some of the programs and different things that we've got going on right now, and just some of the opportunities I think for the future that we have, not only with the district, but also with the partnership that we have with you guys with Bountiful City. I mean, we came from Bountiful City, the old bubble. The building now is on that property. So we recognize the unique arrangement we have with you guys and how we've been able to work together over the last now 17 years. It's hard to believe it's been open for 17 years. We had our anniversary last week, so a lot of people got an opportunity to come out and interact with us and win some prizes and some giveaways. So we experienced that last Thursday was our anniversary. No, 17 is not that special when you think about it, but it's still 17 years back from when we first started. That is a pretty good achievement. So the first thing I wanted to really touch is just, like I said, our relationship with Bountiful City. So we've been working with Bountiful City obviously since the get-go, and soon after, if not almost right away, we've had interlocal agreements with you guys. So right now, our interlocal agreements with Bountiful City, we have an agreement for our finances to work through you guys, our finances and accounting, our HR for our payroll, and some other HR features, our IT. So all of our IT functions operates through Bountiful City. Our lawn maintenance around the park and the facility is all part of the care that Brock and his team takes with the facility or with the park, and keeps the lawn in good working condition. The parking lot, the sweeping of the parking lot and the plowing of the parking lot, depending on the time of year. And with our programming, some field maintenance at some of the softball fields, baseball fields throughout the city. We are moving around some of our programs. We've moved some of our Summer League baseball to Summer League T-ball and coach pitch to West Bountiful Park. There's a little bit more shade than at Zeziger Park, but we've moved that there. So that's one area that we'll look at and talk to Brock about, and something that they don't have to do going forward is help, at least for us, is getting that field in ready in condition. So we've got a lot of arrangements with you guys, and we've got the interlocal agreements. Tyson is obviously the clerk on our district, but also the finance guy here at the city. So he and I talk quite a bit, and he is responsible for helping arrange the interlocal agreements and the costs and things like that we help to pay for you guys. Some of the other things I'd like to talk about with the city is, in the past, we've talked about bonding in the pools that we've looked at. So right now, and Kate, you can correct me if you feel differently, but I don't feel like the board at this point is ready to talk about the bond this year. So we're still looking at our fiscal and our financial, getting our fiscal and financial house in order. But I think we're making good progress there. But I think in the future, that's something that we'll continue to look at. What form that might be, I don't know. With the pools, the school district had been working with us on possibility of helping us to cover some of the cost for any upgrades or changes or growth to our aquatics. At this point, the school district has made it clear to us that at this point, they're looking at maybe building their own pools. So that may change that agreement that we have with them, and something we need to have some meetings with them going forward. And I've reached out to them to have some more meetings, and hopefully we'll get those set up pretty quickly. But the pools, we've talked about it in the past too, and then I think we've talked extensively about the opportunities there. And I think at this point, if we are still looking at any pool expansion, right now we're still talking about growing the existing pool into a 60-meter pool, as opposed to building a new entire structure, especially not into the park, but any other location within the area as well. So we look to expand that pool if that's something that we wanted to do in the future with a bonding process. Part of that bond also included the possibility of building at Hatch Park, a new facility. They've actually moved forward with their process. So the Hatch Park does not look like that would be an opportunity for a second facility for the district in the future if we did go out for bond. So just a couple of things that's going on with the bonding process. Like I said, right now, we're not really touching that. We're working on getting our financials to the place that we want them, working on our reserves, and getting the cash reserves to where we want them to be. I did want to touch on the ice ribbon. It's a unique venture that we have with you guys. I think it was 2020 when we opened, right in the middle of COVID, so it was great timing for all of us, right? But no, it's been great. I feel like the ribbon has been a great addition, not just to Bountiful, but to the area in general. I had a meeting this morning with the commission, the county commissioners, and just let them know that I think the ice ribbon is not only just a Bountiful treasure, I think it's a treasure for the entire county. And I think it's a good opportunity to bring new people to come in, so hopefully we can continue to find ways to promote it and grow that use of the ice ribbon going forward. I've done some math, and I bounced my numbers off Tyson, so if they're wrong, we can blame him. But no, I think we've done really well with the ribbon. It's been actually a growth area for us. We don't break even, we make money with the ribbon. If you look at the first 4 years that we've been open, we're looking at around $120,000 to $130,000 in revenue from the ribbon. So that's a really positive thing for us, and it's been a really great opportunity for the district. And we just look at it going forward as a continued way to get the community involved with our programming and finding ways to get them to come and enjoy the outdoors during the wintertime. Because we're only open for 3 months with the ribbon, so 3.5-ish, depending on the time of year, how the weather's working out for us. Right now, we're not doing anything in the summer times. I know we talked about the possibility of maybe renting skates in the future, but we're not to that point yet. I don't know if that's something y'all are still interested in, but we definitely have those conversations if we want to. And then the last part with just talking about Bountiful City is last year, the city was generous enough to help us with our movie nights that are in the town square as well, through a wrap tax, as well as our Santa Jingle Bell Run, which also is in the town square and through the streets of downtown Bountiful. So we've applied for that this year as well, so it was definitely a benefit for us to help be able to continue those programs going forward. So some things that are going on with the district, we've made some changes to certain things. So I'll touch on a little bit of these things. If you have questions, let me know. The first thing, if you notice the flyer that's located on the slide, we did change our hours slightly this year. One thing we noticed, and one thing that we paid attention to, was that we were open until 11 p.m. Monday through Thursday, but we noticed that 10 to 11, it's not really a very high productive time for us. So we moved everything to 10. And I think it's been a great change for us. It helps not only with decreased cost of staffing, I think it helps to get the facility and get people back home at a more reasonable hour. It also has helped save us some money on our costs there. So we did change those hours Monday through Thursday from 11 p.m. for close to 10 p.m. Last year, through some changes in staff and through some desire to help cut costs, we did some staff restructuring. What that meant was that we had one position leave, and we combined that position that left with another position to form a new job, which is our races and recreation manager. So we took our special events and races coordinator and made that position a more recreation and races focus. We divided up some of the special events with other staff. So we cut down from 15 to 14 staff. I think we started that in the process in July or August of last year. So that's one of the things that we've been working on as well, looking at staff restructuring, as well as looking at currently our current setup for staff and seeing if there's changes in the future that we want to do as well. We've done some program changes. We've eliminated our adult tennis lessons. We've eliminated, in the last couple of years, our girls softball, as well as we eliminated our track and field this year. And not all of that is based off of desire. A lot of it was based off of space and facility needs that we needed that we weren't able to get anymore. Especially with track and field, with the school district, we were utilizing their facilities. They're utilizing their facilities more. They have lacrosse going on, so it's tough to get to the same facilities that we used to with track and field. Our tennis and our girls softball were something that we stopped last year. So those are some of the things that we're continuing to look at and evaluate, that we'll talk a little bit more back about in a few minutes. But that's something that we've been continuing to do, is evaluate our programming and see what opportunities there may be to change, or to eliminate things that may not be worthwhile anymore. We've talked about completed, to talk about completed and upcoming projects. So most of the councils, I think, been on here, except for maybe Matt. I think you weren't here, but you may be aware that we did a roof project in 2021 and 2022, as well as an air handler replacement for our leisure pool area. So that was a $1.8 million project. The roof had a lot of rust and a lot of issues, a lot of air exchanging going on between the soffits, which weren't properly done when the facility was built. So we replaced that, we fixed those areas. Unfortunately, it does cost money. We also replaced a play structure within the leisure pool area. So we spent about $2.2 million in 21, 22 on projects and different things for the leisure pool area, as well as some upgrades in the lap pool area as well, mostly working on our ducts, as well as getting some air ventilation flow a little bit better there as well. So we are continuing to work on some projects this year. Some of our bigger projects are, if you've been to the facility, you'll notice that when you walk in, you'll see there's a gate and a turnstile that keeps you from going into the pool and fitness area, but there's nothing that keeps you going into the ice area. So something that we're working on this year is trying to get a gate and turnstile and make it a little bit more challenging for people to try to sneak into the ice area. Some other projects we have is the replacement of our Zamboni. We've had it for 12 years, so it's on its last legs, the ones that we have. We have two, but we switch them out quite frequently. So the new one will be ordered, it's already been ordered, and it should be coming in next year. It takes a long time to get a Zamboni, apparently. And then the last couple projects we have are some of our fitness equipment, so we'll have some of those coming in throughout the year. We've just approved some at our last board meeting, some Intenza stepping machines that we'll have coming in the next few months. Some of the other things we've been working on are updating our rules and regulations to help us to have a little bit more ability to enforce things and make it a little bit more clear, the rules and regulations for the facility. So we're in the process of doing that, which we've been working on the last few months. I think we have one more update to do, and that'll be done hopefully, if not in May and June. So we're working on getting that finalized and finalizing those last couple sections of the rules and regulations. And the board has recently updated our bylaws. So in the past, any open positions for the board were assigned and appointed through the county. So there's an application process through the county. Now that process will now go through the board. We've also we've removed one position. We were at 8, which made it challenging sometimes for votes when we had 4 on 4. And so we've moved it to 7. So we're looking currently for 2 board members, and that process is ongoing right now. So those applications will be open through May 3rd. And right now, we've got a handful of people who have currently applied, but that process will be going on until the end of next week. It's hard to believe that's May already, but May 3rd of next week. So those bylaws were updated in the last 2 meetings with the board. All right, so some of our budget trends. So we've made some big changes to the budget process and to our budget. So talking with Tyson, we've now included over 900 new codes for our budget to help us be able to really narrow down on the programs we feel are doing well for us, maybe seeing the ones that need some help, or ones that we just feel like aren't pulling their weight anymore, or finding ones that really do a really great job. So with these changes, we've gone through the process with Tyson and his staff and different staff here at the city, along with my staff at the district. We spent a lot of time going through it, looking at the different codes that we might need to do, and trying to get down to where we feel like we're going to get some good data for the board to really look at going forward. So that process is, I would say, mostly complete. I would say 99%. There's still going to be some updates and changes as we notice maybe we need to adjust some numbers here, or maybe there's a code that we may need to really look at going forward. But 900 plus new codes is a lot. So we're happy that part of the process is done, and hopefully that there's not much going to be added to those numbers. As you're also aware, in the fall, we did go through the process of looking at our subsidy. Our subsidy had never been increased in 16, 17 years. So in November of last year and into December, the board did decide to increase our subsidy. And the percentage number, it was an increase of 76.541%. Which was technically about a $775,000 increase to our subsidy. Just to give you some idea of what that looks like based off of the numbers that Tyson and I have come up with the spreadsheet that we had, that equates to about $13 additional taxes per year per household, $1.12 per month, and that's all based on a $574,000 home in the district. So currently our subsidy cannot go above 0.0002%, and right now we're at 0.0011. So we're not to the point where we're too far along, but the board did approve that in the fall of last year, and so we'll see those increased taxes in November of this year. We're also working on our cash reserves. Tyson and I actually are meeting again tomorrow to talk more about it. But our cash reserves will be looked at in May. We're looking at our reserve and replacement fund, our emergency fund, as well as looking at what other cash we need to have on hand to cover any sort of payments and things like that. Right now, our current bond that we have will expire in 2026. So after that, we will currently have no other bonding that we'll have going forward unless the board decides to do anything differently there. But we're working on that process, working on changing some of the information and some of the data there to make sure that our cash reserves are going to be in the best fiscal order that we possibly can be. And I touched a little bit on this already, but 2023 turned out to be a better year than we were budgeting for it to be. We budgeted actually for a $433,000 loss based off of some of the revenues and expenses that we were looking at, and we ended up, at this point, pre-completed audit at about $121,000 in net sales. So a great turnaround there, over $500,000 difference of what we were looking at. So we feel like that's a great thing for us, a great step forward. We know there's still improvements to be made, but it's a great step for us and continuing to make changes that will help the district to become more financially solvent. Programs and participants. So over the next couple slides, I'll show you some things that about different programs, our membership, our recreation numbers and things like that. So to give you some data based off of what's going on with Bountiful. I want to be specific to you guys. You'll see some other cities in there too, but I want you to sort of see where we are with our memberships, how that affects Bountiful's numbers, and how many people from Bountiful are actually utilizing the facility from a membership perspective. So we'll go through some of those numbers right now, and if you have questions, let me know. Probably can't read that very well. It's a lot of numbers. But we have a lot of different types of passes. We have annual passes, we have monthly passes, we have summer passes, we have insurance memberships as well. So we got a lot of different types of things. And right now our memberships are around about 7,200 total memberships and about 18,500 members. So just to give you an idea of what that looks like for the city, where did it go? So the city itself has about 7,600 members in the district. So that's roughly 41% of our total membership is from the city of Bountiful, which I think jives with the amount of people that actually live in Bountiful compared to some of the other cities. Like I said, we have 18,500 members, which is about 17% of the total district-ish population. So we're seeing about 17 to 20% on average of what we see of people that are members of the facility that live in the district. So I think that's some good numbers there that really show how much Bountiful residents are using the facility, how useful it is to them. And if you look at those memberships, You'll notice the charter membership. So when we first opened to help sell memberships, the district sold charter memberships. So those memberships were said to be the same going forward. So they maintain a lower rate than the members that are purchasing passes these days. So they got an initial savings when they purchased those charter memberships. Some other things you might notice is that we have a disability individual and disability individual plus membership. These are memberships we added 2 years ago. The individual membership is for someone with a documented disability that can also bring in someone to assist them. The individual plus is basically like a family membership. They can add members for an increased cost on that membership for people in their family. So we have 2 different disability passes, and then we have punch passes as well, so people can buy 25 punches at a time and come use the facility. So to give you an idea of some of the other programs we have before we get into some of these other breakdowns, right now we're getting started our men's basketball, our women's volleyball. We have swim lessons ongoing throughout the year. We're currently doing our Learn to Skate programs. We're about to start registering for our summer camps. So we've got a lot of different things coming up soon. Right now we're also registering for our summer t-ball and coach pitch. So we got a lot of different things going on that are coming up over the summer and early spring. Our youth soccer city breakdown. So if you notice, we had about 900 people sign up for soccer in the spring. Soccer is our second highest program. So junior jazz is our first. So next time I come speak to you guys, I would plan to have that data for you. Just I'm trying to do it by the season based on what's going on right now. So we have go ahead.
I was just gonna say, junior jazz is such a huge highlight. Maybe just a minute on just how big our junior jazz
sure.
population is, even though we're not in season and you don't have the.
Yeah, so
breakdown.
we have 2 seasons of junior jazz. So we do a fall and a winter. It is, if not still the largest, one of the top 2 largest programs in the state. We bring in probably 3,000 plus participants every year, which is made up of recreational and competitive leagues. Our recreational far surpasses any competitive teams that we have, but it does incorporate both. We start all the way from 1st and 2nd grade instructional league all the way up to having recreational teams in 12th grade. So we have it all the way, depending on the time of the year, we'll have someone represented from 1st through 12th grade playing recreational basketball. Our comp teams go up through 9th grade. And those happen both of our sessions. So right now, junior jazz is still really big. If we had more space, we could grow it even more. If we had more gym availability and things like that we could possibly use, it would definitely be a benefit for us and the community. But I know that because the school district's also growing their programming, it's really trying to find the times that we can utilize the facilities that are available to us. In the past, we did rent some space 5-6 years ago for one season to see how it would go. That was actually down in North Salt Lake at Club V before they got too big for us too. So they've got a lot going on at Club V for competitive basketball and volleyball there. But I did want to show you with our soccer city breakdown. If you notice, Bountiful has 381 of our almost 900 participants. So that's a huge percentage of the residents in Bountiful playing soccer with us. North Salt Lake is a little bit lower. They also do their own soccer program with North Salt Lake, so that's why it's a little bit lower than you may think it might be for North Salt Lake. But our programs are doing really well. Our next program we'll look at is our baseball. So Bountiful is still number 1 there, even with Mueller Park also going on at the same time. So we see a lot of usage throughout the entire district, even people coming from outside the district to participate in our programs. NFL flag football, this is probably our 3rd largest program now. It's continuing to grow. Right now we're playing games out at West Bountiful Elementary. Bountiful, still a huge chunk of that, 470 is 250, so more than half of our participation from the city of Bountiful for NFL flag. Youth volleyball. Youth volleyball, our largest group was last fall, so we're just under that this year, but still, if you notice, Bountiful, more than half of the participation there as well. So what I'm trying to show is that Bountiful has a huge footprint in what we do with the district. The residents, the participation, everything that we do is really contingent on the residents of Bountiful utilizing the facility, and we definitely appreciate all that they do for us. Some of the other things I want to talk about are just our aquatics and fitness. So going through real fast, how much time do we have?
About 15.
Okay, we got plenty of time. Aquatics, we have an open plunge time, so that's the time that anybody can come in and utilize the facility. We have swim lessons, swim team, masters swim team, water polo, and water aerobics. We have our fitness area, which we have group exercise classes, our cycling classes, individualized training, education, small group classes, and fitness competitions. Special events, it does say Spooktacular right now. We don't have Spooktacular as part of our plans for 2024, unless we can find some sponsors to help us offset some of our costs there. The egg dive, which we just did right before Easter. We have our Santa run and Santa letters in the town square. We have our Dogapalooza, which is right after Labor Day, and we have our outdoor movies, which also take place in town square, which we've been doing in the city of Bountiful for a long number of years there. And then our races, we have our handcart half marathon. We have our Thanksgiving 10K, two of our biggest races there. We have our Sweethearts 5K in February. Our Splash and Sprint Triathlon is our next one coming up in just a few weeks. We'll have our Labor Day Triathlon on Labor Day, and then we have actually 3 indoor tries that we do in winter time. So December, February, and March. We do 3 indoor tries where basically people can come in and get a feel of what a triathlon's like. We have them swim laps in the pool. We have them run on our track on the inside, as well as do a certain amount of time on the cycles that we have in the facility. So we've got a lot of different opportunities for people to come in and utilize for our races and our fitness and our aquatics. I did want to highlight a couple of different programs that were sort of new to us. The bottom one there I'll start with, the 6-week shreds come in different forms over the years. This year we called it the Shredded in 6 weeks. So it's an opportunity for taking 6 weeks to try to lose weight and come in and utilize our staff. And they have teams that come in and try to lose weight together. So that started in January, ended in early to mid-March. If you notice above that, we've got 2 flyers for our Dr. Nedley's Depression and Anxiety Recovery Program, as well as our Sky Teens. We also have Sky Kids. I just didn't want to cram everything up on the screen. But our Sky Teens and Kids, using breathing techniques and meditation to help, basically, we want to help with the health and wellness in the community. So this helps with managing stress and emotions, different focus on getting better sleep, helping people just getting in this world that we live in. It's very stressful. It's really hard sometimes for different teens and kids. So this gives you an opportunity to find ways to relieve that and to take a time to get a little bit less stress, less anxiety. If you look at the other flyer, Dr. Nedley's, there's our Depression and Anxiety Recovery Program for adults. It was a 6-week program that we've already started. We're looking to do another one in the near future, but this one ended just a few weeks ago in late March. So this program is something that we've taken on, and it's been a great opportunity for us. We had a lot of people participate in this last one. I've been talking to staff about what they would like to see this, how they would like to see this going forward, and this may not be the time, but it's something we can discuss about in the future. But staff would like to try to get this out in the community a little bit more and do some free sessions just to get people to sort of see what it's all about. Like a session here in Bountiful would possibly be a possibility, one in Centerville, North Salt Lake, et cetera. And in that way, they could see if they're interested in participating in the program, because we feel like it's a big benefit to learn how to manage your anxiety, manage your stress, and to help people with their health and wellness, not only just their fitness, but their mental well-being as well. So these are some of the programs that we're working on, along with our typical fitness and trying to lose weight type programs throughout the year. Like I mentioned, our Splash and Sprint Triathlon's coming up in just a few weeks. Then we'll have our Handcart Days Marathon, which will be coinciding with the Handcart Days celebration. So that'll be on July 20th this year. So our 2 next big races coming up in the next couple months. We do have, along with our junior jazz, along with our soccer, we have some really large programs, and our swim lessons are, if not the largest, one of the largest in the state. You will notice in 2021, when we were fully staffed with enough people to be able to teach as many lessons as possible, we had a lot more participation. In 2022, we started to see wages go up. Staff went to other jobs, so that had higher paying wages. So we had to increase our wages, but during that time, we lost the amount of people that we could teach those lessons. And we started to see that increase back in 2023, and we hope to continue to see that trend in 2024. We're on pace to do so right now, and we hope that continues to going forward. But if you see in 2024, our group lessons right now are roughly about 60 more than we were in 2023 at this point. So positive movements there. Our summertime is going to be the big time for our swim lessons, and that registration starts on May 6th. So we'll be opening up registration for all of our summer swim classes at that point. And then just to give you a quick idea of some of the other programs other than swimming lessons that we do in our aquatics. We have our adaptive aquatics. We have junior lifeguarding, so people that can come in, learn how to be about lifeguards and be instructors. We have our Red Cross certification courses that we do for all of our lifeguards, but we also train a lot of lifeguards for other facilities, including Cherry Hill, Lagoon. They come in and we train them for their upcoming seasons. Wish we could keep them all, but unfortunately they want to be outside a lot more than they'll possibly be necessarily at the facility. We have an age group swim team. Right now we're averaging about 225 people per month on that swim team. We have water polo. Learn to play water polo. We have different age groups there. It's a program that has been larger in the past before COVID, but it's slowly starting to get back up in numbers there. Our master swim team for adult competitive swimmers that want to continue to swim and race. They also do some adult swim lessons through the master swim team. And then we have our water aerobics classes that take place throughout the year in the mornings all the way through the early evenings. And that is everything that I have. So I'm happy to answer any questions. If there's anything that you want me to go back to so we can look at those again. But I definitely appreciate the time to update you with everything that's going on. And if you have questions, please let me know.
Have any questions from you guys? I get to spend a lot of time with Tiff and a lot of time with the rec district, so I'm going to leave the question time that we've got remaining to either of you.
No, I think it's amazing the amount of programs and community involvement that goes on at the rec center, and nice to see that so many Bountiful residents are still participating and actively involved.
All right, in that case, you also get style and bonus points for finishing 6 minutes early.
Awesome.
So we will take a brief break between the end of the work session and the start of our regular council meeting at 7 so that we can reset. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Jeff.
Appreciate it.